Hi, it's Jennifer at Astro Astrology. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about Mercury going retrograde on Friday. I know y'all heard about retrogrades. A lot of people that aren't even into astrology hear Mercury retrograde. What does that mean? It's like a full moon. All your electronics are going to break. Everything's going to go haywire. Well, we're going to look into this. We're going to unpack it a little bit and see exactly what is a retrograde, what it can mean for you in your chart, however it plays out, and wherever it shows up in your chart. So we're going to kind of get into it and find out a little more about what a retrograde is. So first of all, we have on Friday, the 21st, we have Mercury stationing at 15 degrees of Taurus to start moving back. So stationing means the time that it comes kind of to a halt. Now it's going to stay at that halt from, now I'm Eastern Standard Time, New England, so it's going to start that about 1 o'clock and stay there until about 4 o'clock before it starts moving back. So what a retrograde means is it's kind of a optical illusion almost, when a planet slows down and then it actually appears as though it's moving backwards. But it's mainly just because of it's an optical illusion, and it appears that way because of its slower, usually Mercury especially is a fast moving planet, so when it slows down and then moves backwards, it looks like it's going backwards, but it's actually just going slower, and other planets are moving faster or at their normal speed. So every planet goes retrograde at some point. The only ones that don't, which they're not planets anyway, but would be the sun and the moon. Every other planet goes retrograde. Mercury does about 4 times a year, 3 or 4 times a year, really. And then, the outer planets, they're retrograde a lot. They're retrograde for long amounts of time. I'm talking like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So you can pay attention to that. I don't pay a super lot of attention to those. So I really kind of watch more of the personal planets. So when you have Mercury, Venus, Mars, those going retrograde, those are the ones that are probably going to impact you the most, and really it depends on where they are in your chart, how they're going to impact you, and the intensity of which they'll impact you. So again, so retrograde, if you think about it, it's a time you think of going backwards, so it's a time of reflection, it's a time of maybe redoing, all those kind of words, like rethinking, justifying, reacting. It's kind of going back over where you've already been. So in a retrograde, what you have is, first it starts off with a shadow period. So the shadow period is the time that the planet that's going to go retrograde slows down before it comes to a halt. So Mercury started slowing down at 5 degrees of Taurus, and that's what we call the shadow period. So it starts going slower at about 5 degrees. It still moves kind of pokey until it hits where it stations, and when it stations, again, that's going to be on Friday, and then it's going to start moving back. So the shadow period, when it starts, you can see this in an ephemeris. If you're familiar with what an ephemeris is, you can actually see so what you want to look for is the easiest way for me to do it anyway. So if you're looking at an ephemeris, you're going to see where Mercury just kind of stops, and then you'll see, instead of the numbers going up, you'll see the numbers going back. When you see it come to its further point back, that's pretty much where the shadow period started. So Mercury's shadow period started back on the 5th degree. It's going to come up to the 15th by Friday, turn retrograde, move back to the 5th degree, which is the shadow period, and then move back forward again, and so on. So that's what all the retrograde planets do. Some do it a little faster than others. We were just talking a couple videos ago about the Mars retrograde and how that took so long to go through Gemini and all kind of issues that came about with that one. So I thought maybe we'd get a little bit deeper in to try and understand a little bit more. So again, it's going to go over the same point 3 times. So it's, the shadow period where it's going forward, then it stops, goes backwards, and then it goes forward again. So that's 3 times over the same spot. So what you want to look for in your chart is, where is this happening? So this is happening in Taurus. So if you have any, if you have your, any of your angles, your ascendant, your MC, IC, DC, if you have any of those in around the 5th to 15th degree of Taurus, you're going to feel something. Same as if you have any of your personal planets, or even, I would say, even Saturn and Jupiter, pretty much any planet, and especially too if you have your sun or moon in those degrees. You can also look at the angles it might cause. So if you're looking at other, so if it's happening in Taurus, that's an earth sign. So you want to look at the other earth signs and see if you have anything in those signs. That would be either an opposition, so if it's not in Taurus and it's in another earth sign, so that will show up in your chart. So if it was in Scorpio, that would be an opposition, and so on and so forth. So you want to look at the aspects that it has to the planets that you have. A really easy way to do that too, just to give you a little tricks of the trade. You want to look, when you pull up your chart, you want to look at the little key in the corner. So this is going to be happening between 5 and 15 of Taurus. So look at the key, see if any of your natal planets or anything that you have natally is between 5 and 15 degrees, and then you can work out what aspects it will have to the Mercury retrograde. So it's a little quick, easy tip on how to use that little key in the corner. It's really handy. So we discussed the shadow period. So the shadow period, getting a little more into it. So what you kind of want to do is think about how this month has gone so far. So this is going back to about the 5th of April. So what's been going on since then for you? Is there any kind of issues that have been popping up? Is there any thing that's been concerning or starting to be a little of concern? Something that you may want to go and rethink, rehash, reevaluate. It's kind of going to show what themes may be being brought out during the Mercury retrograde in your chart. And then the post-shadow period, which would be, so after the retrograde, goes back to, again, the 5th degree of Taurus. When it starts moving forward again, that's the post-shadow period. So that's going back over, again, for the 3rd time, where it's already been. That's kind of when you really go to resolve these things that you may have been working on or rethinking or redoing, or any issues that have come to pop up. So I like to, a funny little thing that this brings to mind. So if you've ever seen the movie The Shining, there's a scene at the very end with Danny trying to get away from Jack in the hedge maze outside. So at one point, Danny is going forward in the hedge maze and there's snow, and he left all these tracks in the snow. So then he starts stepping back into his actual footprints. So, and that is him kind of, he stopped where he stopped, and then he starts going backwards. So he was retrograding, going over the same thing as what he already did in the exact same footprints. Then he stops again, and then he moves forward and goes on his way. I think he turns, but we won't think of it that way. We'll just think of it in this nice way. So anyway, it just reminds me of that. So I thought that was kind of a clever way to think about it, that just you're retracing your steps of where you've already been, maybe redoing something that you feel like you've done wrong the first time, or kind of thinking about it, and gives you a point to contemplate and to reflect on wherever this is going to fall in your chart and how this might play out. So that way, the shadow period, you can kind of prepare for that. So getting into now how this is going to affect you. So again, what you want to look for is where this is falling in your chart, what house it falls in. You find that out by, running your chart. You have to know your birth time, especially to see the houses, and then you can get an idea of what area of your life this will be affecting. In order to do that, you can go to, say, astro.com. You can run your chart. You'll need your birth time, date, and place. Time is very important. If you don't have time, you don't get the houses. If you don't want to do that and you want me to just explain it to you, feel free to email me, astrotastrology@gmail.com. I can send you a copy of your chart with a little explanation if you have a question about the retrograde or anything else in your chart. I'd be happy to do that. So feel free to keep in touch. That would be great. So, okay, we're going to talk about this actual retrograde now. So Taurus is, again, a fixed sign. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is about beauty, money. Tauruses love good food. They love pleasurable things. They love to be surrounded by their things, their materialistic items that they've, bought over the years. Say if you have a shoe fetish, or if you have a clothing fetish, or Tauruses love to be extravagant. They love their wine and food, and just all things just to make you happy. Venus is about happiness, love, sexuality, sensuality, and beauty of that around you. A lot of Taurus, I think of really getting outside. You see where Taurus falls in the chart and what time of year it falls. It's about the time, right after the spring starts, where things start thawing. You start getting outside. You start digging in the dirt. Maybe you're starting a garden. So maybe, what this Taurus retrograde means is maybe redigging out your garden, rethinking of what you want to plant, replanting flowers, and that type of thing. That, it's a very grounded, fixed, earthy sign. Doesn't like a lot of change. So now we're going to go through the houses. So once you find where this is in your chart, easy way to explain it. So if you have a Aries rising, it's going to be in your second house. If you have then Taurus rising, it of course will be in your first house. If you have Gemini rising, it'll be in your 12th house. Cancer rising, it'll be in your 11th house, so on and so forth. So we're going to start with, with if you have a Taurus rising. So again, getting back to the retrograde, RE. RE words can give you kind of a little hint on how you can work through whatever problems this might bring up for you. So if this is in your first house, maybe the issues you're going to have is I mean, it could be something simple as, you know, you get a bad haircut. You know, a lot of focus on your appearance, on yourself. Maybe what you want to do to kind of work through any issues you see coming up. You might want to reconnect with yourself. You might want to, like, you know, go inside, maybe do a little meditation, refocus, recommit to things that you have promised yourself that you're going to do that maybe have kind of fallen to the wayside. So, you know, just kind of get back to yourself, because this is, the first house is all about, you know, yourself, your being, maybe the way you even perceive yourself, maybe things that, ways that you've perceived yourself, you might want to kind of change a little bit. You might want to take back and say, you know what, I'm going to reinvent myself, and I'm going to try and be a little different person, a better person. So the shadow period is kind of, might be giving you a little thought of what that could be. The retrograde is you thinking of how you might reinvent yourself, and then you know, the after shadow period, the post shadow period, the post shadow period is when you actually start putting these into action. So, and then if you have Gemini rising, so then we have Taurus is in the 12th house. So that's where the retrograde would be happening there. Now the 12th house is, you know, it's that hidden house of, you know, it's things that you kind of hide away. It's, you know, it could even have to be dealing with, you know, people in the hospital, people in prison. It's a self-undoing type of house. So when I think of, if you have a retrograde going on there, what are you doing that could be a self-undoing of yourself? Is there, you know, maybe a substance abuse of some sort? You know, when you think of even prisons and being put away, are you doing something, you know, maybe you're driving too fast on a regular basis or something, or you know, you're doing something that you know is wrong. It can be your undoing in the end. Think about it and say, you know what, I need to stop this. You know, maybe you're sneaking things from work, and you know, you think it's all, you know, no one's ever going to catch me, but you know what, you know, it's not always true. So you don't want to end up putting yourself, you know, if you're unhealthy and you've been in the hospital and you're doing the same things again, that you might get put back in the hospital. So these are the things you want to watch if this is happening in your 12th house. Watch what could be what could be your own self undoing. I think of this as, you know, rehabbing, releasing any of those, you know, those habits that are bringing you down. So those are kind of the rewords you want to use for that. Then let's move along to Cancer rising. So Cancer rising, we see that Taurus then moves into the 11th house. 11th house is all about our acquaintances, our friends, our groups of friends. Could be our online community. So if you have the Mercury retrograde in there, maybe you do a YouTube channel. Maybe, you know, you're having some trouble kind of getting it started. Maybe you want to rethink, go back, rethink. Okay, do I need to redo what I'm doing here? Do I need to, you know, reconfigure maybe the way that my videos are going or something like that? Also, this could be with your friend groups. Maybe you've kind of lost touch with your friends, so maybe you need to reconnect. You need to maybe, you know, just get into better communications, recall them, remember the fun times you had. Lots of the rewords. So you just kind of think of where this falls in your chart, what you might want to go back to, what you might want to revisit. So, you know, thinking about your friends and stuff, maybe you want to reconnect with them. Then we go to Leo. Leo rising. you'll have Taurus falling into your 10th house. So the 10th house is all about your career, your reputation. So maybe again, you're having some thoughts about your career. Maybe you've had some problems at work. Maybe you kind of want to, maybe you've had some problems with your reputation. Maybe you've done things that people are like, oh, whispering behind your back, this guy over here. Maybe you want to reinvent yourself again. You could use the same words for different houses, but they mean different things. Maybe you want to rethink your career. Maybe you want to rethink the choices that you've made in moving around in your job. Could also, could be re-back up your books. If you are, doing reports and stuff like that, you might want to back those up, because when it's in some place like that, those are the things that you could have the glitches with the electronical glitches that you hear about with Mercury retrogrades all the time. I would say the same thing with the 11th house. So, if you're doing something online, if you're connecting with people online, you might want to kind of back up your stuff so that you don't lose anything, just in case. All right, so then we go to, sorry, it's upside down, but we have little Virgo here. Virgo rising, you are going to have Taurus in your 9th house. So with the Mercury retrograde in your 9th house, 9th house is about learning and religion, higher learning, trips. So maybe you want to revisit a place that you've already been. Maybe you want to revisit some topics that you've learned about that maybe you're not too up on. Like, oh, watching this video, I'm not too great on learning about retrogrades. So I'm going to rewatch this video and, kind of learn more about retrogrades, or anything you want to learn. Religion, maybe I want to reconnect with my religion. Maybe I want to start going back to, synagogue or church or wherever, whatever draws you. So that could be how the 9th house will play out. Then we have Libra rising. Libra rising, Taurus is going to fall into your 8th house. So the 8th house is, that could be taboo subjects. It could be about inheritances, other people's money, husband's money, or spouse's money. So kind of what I think about here is maybe if you have a will, maybe you want to re-go over your will to make sure everything's kind of, all your ducks are in a row. Just take a little look at it. Maybe you want to go over your, your finances, your bank accounts, to make sure, if you have joint bank accounts, that everything seems kosher in there. Also, you might want to reconnect with yourself again. This could be a house of, taboo things that you don't necessarily want to let out. Sometimes you want to kind of get down in there deep and really kind of cleanse yourself. Get into your soul and just kind of flush things away. Get rid of the bad, rehab yourself again, but in a more mental kind of way, instead of a purging of substances kind of way, which is more like a 12th house. Then we move into Virgo rising. So Virgo rising, we have Taurus in the 7th house, or not Virgo rising, I'm sorry. The M, it's my upside down letters, or my upside down symbols. So it's Scorpio rising. So of course, opposite Scorpio in the 7th house is Taurus, so that's going to be happening in your 7th house. So 7th house, as we know, is about partnerships, relationships. So maybe you want to rethink your partnerships. You want to reevaluate your partnerships, see if they really are giving you the most of what you can get out of them, especially If you're thinking about a work partnership, or maybe you have your own business and your partner might not be, holding his own as you think they should be. So maybe you kind of want to look into that. Maybe in your just relationships you want to reevaluate, or maybe you want to get remarried. Say maybe you want to renew your vows because you're just so much in love and you just want to like shout it from the rooftops. Maybe the first time, it was just kind of a small little nothing wedding. Maybe you eloped or something like that. Maybe you were like me and you got married during COVID and you want to kind of do something a little bit bigger, better, showier. So, hey, why not think about that? Redo it. Why not? Then we have Sag rising. That's going to put Taurus in our 5th house. 5th house is about children, kind of casual sex, dating, that kind of thing. Some things I kind of would warn about is maybe getting back with an old flame that maybe you had an intense sexual relationship with, but maybe the actual relationship wasn't that great. You also have to look at the negatives because, of course, Mercury Retrograde isn't always about positives. It's about, again, how it could play out for you. So maybe, kind of keep an eye on that. Don't go back to what was an issue before. Don't revisit bad old relationships. They're past relationships for a reason. Maybe you thought about having children and then you kind of put that on the back burner. Well, maybe this is the time that you want to start thinking about that again. Or just kind of, or maybe you are creative, you're painting, maybe you want to kind of redo your style. Maybe redo, I always do landscape paintings, so maybe I kind of want to go back and look into oil paintings or something like that. Could be kind of a way that would play out. So next, if you're a Cap rising, that's me, it's going to put your, I'm sorry, I was totally wrong. I'm looking at this wrong. So we're going to go backwards here. If you're a Sagittarius rising, that's going to be in your 6th house. So we're going to go back over that. So everything I just said about the Taurus in your 6th with the Mercury rising in your 5th, that is going to be for us Capricorn risings. And I should have known that. As a Capricorn rising, I've been watching it. So now we're going to scoot back a little bit. We'll skip it. So now Taurus is actually going to be, so this is a little bit off, in your, so let's see, I just want to make sure I'm right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, so it'll be in your 6th house. So if you're a Sagittarius, sorry, my lines aren't quite equal, and as I'm moving my little pie around, I'm noticing that. Anyway, so the 6th house, so another not so fun house. It's about your everyday work. It's about your pets. It's about maybe people that work for you. It's about your health. So what I think about in the 6th house, so again, if this is Sag rising, it's in your 6th house. Disregard what I said before. So if it is in your 6th house, the themes are going to be around maybe your health. Maybe, rethink about that diet you were on, or rethink about, I was doing so good when I was, doing the carb-free stuff, and now I'm a mess because I've been doing it and I'm bloated, and could be something, re-quit sodas if you're drinking sodas. Maybe restart that exercise routine that you were doing before. With work, again, similar to kind of a 10th house theme, but more of an everyday kind of work. Maybe you redo some things that you've already done. This is another place where you kind of want to watch the, your everyday work. You want to kind of back up your work so you don't have to redo it, just in case the glitches happen, because who knows. Pets, retrain them. Maybe one is kind of misbehaving. Mine are actually behaving today, which is nice. Usually they're all crazy in the background, so maybe I did that. with my retraining of them, but it's happening in my 5th house, which we already talked about. So now we're zooming up. So next we have Aquarius risings. Taurus is going to be falling into your 4th house of house and home. Again, if you're Capricorn, go back a couple. So 4th house, house and home. Maybe you've lost touch with your parents. Maybe you need to reconnect with them a little bit. Maybe you'd like to revisit your old, where you grew up. I just actually went back to where I didn't grow up there, but my grandparents were there, and I spent so much time there when I was young. Me and my mother went back and visited there. It's in upstate New York, around the Lake George area, if anyone's familiar with it. It's where she grew up, and we went and revisited that area this weekend, and it was a lot of fun. We got to see a lot of people that we haven't seen in years. Look at all the old things. Her old house, which is all redone, the old stores we used to go to, the old playgrounds we used to play at. So it was a lot of fun, and again, it's about revisiting, going back to your roots maybe a little bit more, kind of remembering where you come from. So then we have Pisces rising. So Pisces rising is going to stick the, did I screw up again? I think I screwed up again because of this stupid thing. So let's see, so Aquarius, and then we have I'm right. So Pisces rising puts, puts the Mercury retrograde in your 3rd house. So 3rd house is that of siblings, and no, I think I am still wrong. So that's going to put it in your 3rd house. Capricorn, I'm all messed up. But anyway, Capricorn is going to put it in your 5th house, Aquarius in your 4th house, which we just said, Pisces in your 3rd house. So yes, so that's revisiting maybe siblings, reconnecting with siblings that you lost touch with. It's also about close communications, emails if you want to back up. Maybe don't send it out right away. So if you're mad, don't send that text, rethink it. If you don't send that email, re-go over it, make sure it says exactly what you want it to say. Watch for glitches in this one also. Your communication, you want to rethink where that communication is going, rethink, is this really what I want people to hear? All right, so then if we have Taurus in your 2nd house is of your money. So that would be, if you're an Aries rising, that would put Taurus in your 2nd house, money and the things you accumulate. What you want to watch out for here is, maybe during the shadow period, you went on a shopping spree. Oh, I bought so much stuff. So the retrograde, maybe you're bringing back a lot of that stuff. Maybe you're, oh God, I didn't need to do this. Now I'm broke, so I'm going to bring all these back. Maybe, with money, you want to maybe reinvest your money. Maybe you invested in a couple stocks that are kind of not doing too good. Maybe you want to pull that money out before it's too late, reinvest it somewhere else. Think about where you have money, your property, the things that you own, the things that you accumulate. That's what you want to kind of focus on if it's in your 2nd house. If you see something going wrong, you want to kind of, check that. You want to watch for, the stocks that you have maybe crashing, the things that could be the glitch that goes on in that. So, sorry about my glitches with my little pie wheel here, but I think we have it all straight now. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you understand a little bit more about what it is to be retrograde and to go retrograde and what it could possibly mean for you. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. Please also subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell if you want to see upcoming videos. I love it. We got lots of fun things coming up, fun topics to discuss. If there is anything in particular you want to discuss, please email me or write in the comments. My email is astrotastrology@gmail.com. And if you'd like to get a reading on what any of this means, or just you kind of want a generic natal reading, or what any of these upcoming transits mean for you, I'd be glad to do that. So please contact me. I'd love to hear from you. So again, enjoy this retrograde. It's only going to be going on till about, let's see, till I think early November, or early, I can't find my actual date here, but I think it's till the end of, yeah, so it's goes direct on May 15th, moves into Gemini on June 12th. So we got about a month more going on. So again, enjoy your retrograde, keep safe, and have a great week. See you soon. Bye.